There are a lot of buried treasures out there. I'm talking about the cinematic kind of buried treasure. Films that are highly regarded by several people, but never got the audience they deserve. And that brings us to today's episode. This is the Kazdoy Closet. I'm Kazdoy. That's my closet full of all the stuff that I love. And today, a cinematic buried treasure starring a major award-winning actor. But should this film stay buried? Let's check it out. Today's film is Straight Time from 1978, about 2 hours long, in color. This is sort of like a genre or subgenre, I guess, of crime film about a pretty decent guy who's released from prison and is trying to reform his life and live a regular life, but gets sucked back into a life of crime. And no, that is not a spoiler, because if he didn't get back into a life of crime, we wouldn't have much of a movie, would we? This one stars Dustin Hoffman, and this is made between Marathon Man and Kramer versus Kramer. And if you look at his filmography, it's a pretty impressive one. Every time I think of Dustin Hoffman, I think about my dearly departed mom, who was so astounded that he could play a character like Ben Braddock in The Graduate in 1967, I think, and then about 2 years later play a completely opposite character, Ratso Rizzo, in Midnight Cowboy. She was always blown away by his range, that he could do something like that. He was 41 years old when he made this one. I was surprised to find out he's 86 years old right now. I was a little trepidatious, you might say, about watching this, because sometimes, for me, Hoffman kind of falls back on some certain tics and mannerisms, and I thought that might detract from this. But no, he's very, very good in this film. His co-star, female co-star, is Teresa Russell. Totally beautiful and cute and stunning. She was 21 years old when she made this. She's working at an employment agency in the film, and Hoffman comes in to try to find a job, and they kind of hit it off. She's sort of smitten by him, which is, I thought, kind of weird, because he's twice her age. He looks kind of grungy and kind of out of it. She knows he's an ex-con, but maybe she likes the bad boys. I don't know what it was, but they hit it off. And even near the end, where things are not going well, Hoffman is smart enough and decent enough to know that she should not be associated with him. But anyway, she still says, "Oh, will you call me?" So I thought that was kind of weird. And I thought that was the only really big flaw in the film. It has an incredible cast of character actors, most of whom are pretty sleazy people in this film. The standout, I think, being Emmett Walsh. I've spoken about him before. He plays Hoffman's weird parole officer. You really do not like him. He's been in over 200 films, anything ranging from Serpico to Blood Simple to Steve Martin's The Jerk. So a wide range of different types of roles and different types of films. If you don't know the name, you'll know him when you see him and when you hear that very distinctive voice. Also in this great cast, Gary Busey, Harry Dean Stanton, Kathy Bates. The director was Ulu Grossbard. The only other film I'm familiar with of his is True Confessions. That was a film starring Robert De Niro and Robert Duvall. Haven't seen that in a long time. That'd be a good one for a reissue, I think. And that one was written by John Gregory Dunn and his wife, Joan Didion. Also, for some reason on IMDb, Hoffman is listed uncredited director. So I don't know what happened, if there was a conflict, if he co-directed it, but there's a story there somewhere. There are several screenplay credits on this film, one of whom belongs to Edward Bunker. Now, he wrote a novel called No Beast So Fierce, which I have not read, but I'm going to assume is semi-autobiographical, because his own story is similar to the Hoffman character's story. He was in prison at an early age and kind of a career criminal. This is a good psychological study as well as a good crime film, I thought. We don't get a whole lot of backstory about Hoffman, which is okay. We do learn that his first time he was in prison, he was 12 years old, and at the beginning of the film, he is released, and he had just served 6 years for burglary. We find out a little bit more about that later on. He says early on that he wants a normal life. He wants a decent place to live, and he wants to be in love. But he also seems to like the thrill and the adrenaline rush of committing crimes. Of course, the money's important. But just like the other, one of the other characters played by Harry Dean Stanton, when Hoffman sees him, Harry Dean Stanton is living in the suburbs with a wife, and finally says to Hoffman, "You got to get me out of here." So they both want that thrill of living on the edge and committing crimes and getting away with it, of course. Still, I think the Hoffman character is sympathetic. I think maybe this kind of shows the forces against him being out of prison are pretty strong. He can only apply for certain jobs. He's not allowed to drive. He has to answer to the whims of his weird parole officer. And he has to be careful about who he associates with, especially former con guys. I think Hoffman's in every scene in this film, and we do kind of root for him. We want him to succeed, but he's kind of his own worst enemy, and he's got those forces working against him. The style of the film is pretty impressive. It has some gritty LA locations, streets, side streets, back alleys, cheap hotels. There's a very natural sound to it and almost a verite style to it. Nowadays, of course, with cell phones and cameras everywhere, a lot of the stuff that happens in this film would not be happening. But Hoffman and his friends in this film, you know, these are guys that are kind of like losers, really, that's living on the outskirts of society and can't quite seem to make things work for them like it does for most people. So my rating for Straight Time is 4.5 big dollar signs out of 5. It's suspenseful, it's engrossing, great cast, and moved along pretty fast, I thought. So what's on this disc? This is a Warner Archives collection disc. They usually don't have too much on here, and this is no exception. There's a commentary track with Hoffman and the director, which I did not listen to. There's a little featurette, and I totally forgot to watch it, so I'm not sure what that featurette's about. So where can you see this? Well, I don't see it streaming anywhere. You can rent it. You can buy it on Amazon, of course. I think it's going for like $17.99. This is one of those films a lot of people were clamoring for. Where's the Blu-ray? Where's the Blu-ray? And so now it's here for everybody to enjoy. So Straight Time. Feel free to leave a comment or suggestion down below here. Maybe you've seen this film, or maybe there's another hidden cinematic gem you'd like to share with us. I'd like to thank the following people for leaving comments since our last episode. They include Sam, Sid, Jarvis, Martin, Michael, Chris, Tina, Mara J, and Walter. Thank you so much for commenting. Leave a thumbs up. Don't leave a thumbs down. Subscribe would be great. Share this with your friends and neighbors. I'd like to welcome our 2 newest subscribers since our last episode. Andra and Thomas, thank you for subscribing. It's free. Also free is we are on the Letterboxd app. There's a link in the show notes down below under the Kazdoy closet. And that's where we leave short written reviews of other things we're watching. So thank you so much for watching this episode. Hope you liked it. And I will see you next time.